energy for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Rossi. So we go more in detail about the measurement of albedo, which is quite important to correlate albedo to the CO2 compensation. Now it's time for our industrial partner, Francesco Favaro, CEO of Watergy International Group. And the title of presentation is Civil and Industrial Applications of Albedo Management Technology. Francesco, the floor is yours.
Sorry, guys, I'm not able to stand there. I need to move. Well, academic bodies, center of research, governmental entity explore potential technology. They test it, they prove it, they show that they are working. Then, as industrial, we need to make this available for everybody. So what I'm going to do now is to ask you to join me in this journey through the different potential application of the albedo technology in the life of every day. So let's start from the fact that this doesn't work. Okay, so let's see what are the main characteristics that we need to boost when we go to produce this kind of material. And the main characteristic of almost all the material that are characterized by high albedo are two. One is the high solar reflectance, or albedo, as we say. So the ability to reflect in the visible, infrared, ultraviolet, wavelengths of the sun radiation. This means less heat absorption by structure and building and so on. But the other important characteristic is the thermal emission. That is the ability to dissipate very fast the little heat that during the day the building, the structure get as a solar energy absorbed. The consequence of this is a reduction of the build-up of the heat inside the building, and the fact that every day our starting point of inversion of temperature is lower until we reach the equilibrium. Let's start to what is called cool roofing technology. It's a very well-known technology from a long time that can be applied. Let's start from industrial and retail surface. This is an application done in Milan in 2011 for Carrefour. And we reduced the energy consumption, because in the end, as industrial, we need to make it affordable for the investors that have to invest money in the use of the technology. In such a case, you can see on the right side, you can see the difference of temperature between the coated area and the uncoated area. There were peaks of 20 degrees of difference. The consequence of this was a reduction in the energy consumption of 29%, 24% in the AC, and 5% in food refrigeration. My building is colder, so my refrigerator needs less energy to keep the heat. After 11 years, it's still working. But this is valid also for our house. There are no houses that don't need waterproofing. We can use a normal waterproofing system, but with the same, almost the same cost, we can use an high reflective waterproofing system that not just do the waterproofing, but it will pay itself because it will generate a saving in the energy consumption. This is a case here in UAE, in Ahraba, is a private villa where the energy consumption of the villa, even if the thermal characteristics in terms of heat exchanging and insulation of the house wasn't very good, but even though we have been able to reduce by 19% the energy consumption of the house with a great smile from the owner. This is another exercise done in Abu Dhabi. We are in the port area of Abu Dhabi. We apply the technology on one building and not in the other one. And for 3 months, we measured directly the energy consumption of the AC system. Well, the energy consumption was reduced by 30% during these 3 months. This means that our payback, because in the end this is very important for who invests, our payback is within 3 years, is less than 3 years. So which are the effects related to the global warming, the main effect. First of all, as Federico was saying, urban heat island effect. The effect for who, when I move from outside the town to the town is always 1, 2. In India, there are measurements of 4 degrees hotter. This costs to Europe from 5 to 6% of the total energy consumption. Here in UAE, we are about 11%. This is the country with the highest per capita energy consumption in the world. What if I can reduce my energy bill by 11%? Because in my energy bill here, there is the 11% more because my neighbor is warming my house while I'm doing the same to him, so I cannot even complain. The other consequence is that the highest temperature facilitate the formation of secondary pollutant. And this affects the public health. And the public health, as we very well know, have an impact also in financial terms. But there is who already is looking at it. This is a study by MIT. They show that increasing the albedo in the US, mainly in California and Texas, US has been able to reduce by 20 million tons the CO2. This is equivalent to take 4.4 million of cars from the roads. And this is just in energy consumption. If to this we are going to add what we can compensate thanks to the albedo, this number is going to, of course, increase. And then the increasing is not so small. But let's move to infrastructure. Why we don't change our asset, our infrastructure asset, from a center of cost in a center of profit? This is another pilot project carried on here in the UAE with the Minister of Energy and Infrastructure Development, where in July, there is a phrase that I always say. In terms of temperature, at this latitude, we have just summer and hell, because it becomes too hot in July, August. But in July, to walk on a walkways that is 16 Celsius colder. Moreover, this area of about 81,000 square meters compensate the effect of 5,000 tons of CO2, that if we translate this in a carbon credit, it's around 200,000 euro with the cost today. So I changed my parking, the parking of the school, the parking of the Office of Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, from a center of cost, because it was generating urban heat island, in a center of profit is generating for me 7. The other interesting thing was the reduction of about 1.5 Celsius of the temperature of the wall of the school. So there was no heat stored, so no heat was pushed on the wall. This means that indirectly, I'm also reducing the energy consumption of the building that are facing the area that have high albedo. As Professor Kotana was saying, agrivoltaic. Okay, we can use high reflective membrane, mulch membrane. This will reduce, of course, the water consumption, pesticide, will increase the production, as we said, because we have cold light boosting the photosynthesis. But what if we put together more than one technology? Synergies, if they work well together, double the effect of the single one. The power of the most is always more than the power of the single. So, to this, what if we had solar PV with the multi-membrane? One of the limits of the use of photovoltaic in the countryside is the fact that we lose the land. Because we have the solar panel, we cannot use the land. But in such a case, where we have a bifacial solar panel, and proudly I have to say we started in Sicily, the biggest factory of bifacial solar panel in Europe, we can increase the production of my horticulture field. We can reduce the water consumption. We can compensate part of the CO2, but we can also boost the production of the solar panel. And tests that we have carried on with the university, with CIRIAF, also with the universities here in UAE, tell us that for the monofacial, we can increase up to 5% the energy production. With bifacial, like in such a case, we can increase up to 30% the quantity of electricity produced by the solar panel. think about the payback time that often is the limit when we are going to move to renewable. If we are going to reduce by 30% this time, this is the result in terms of production, as Professor Kotana said, about 20% increasing of production in the horticulture, food for the people. But let's move even forward. Summer, July, I live in UAE. I'm on Abu Dhabi, Dubai highway. 48 degrees. My asphalt is at about 87, 90 degrees. My car starts to have problems. I have to go to my light bay. Then I have a choice. I can go in a normal light bay and hope that someone arrives soon. Otherwise, we'll find just my hair on my shoes. Or, that's an idea. Make synergy. In such a case, we have a bifacial solar panel shelter installed on an eye reflective surface to boost the production. So I will produce enough energy to feed the machine that produce drinkable water from the atmosphere, from the condensation of the atmosphere. And the water that I will not use will be sent to an electrolysis system and changed in hydrogen. I'm storing energy under hydrogen form that I can collect and take everywhere I want. So even if it's summer, even if it's hot, I will have cold water, but I'm doing also something for the environment without the risk that sometime we can have with the high temperature, with the batteries and so on, because I'm storing under a form that I can use everywhere. I have to say that thanks to the sensibility of the president of the System Authority for the Ports of the South Adriatic, Dr. Ugo Patroni Griffi, that is involved with us in this project. In Italy, we are going to use the Albedo to bring to zero the impact of embark and disembark operation of our ports. This first project will involve 2 ports, and then we will move to the other ports of the South Adriatic, where we are going to measure the CO2 in excess that is produced during the embark and disembark operation. And then we are going to apply enough albedo to compensate the effect in terms of global warming generated by the operation during those times. So we can say that there is no impact for the tourists when they will come to our ports to move on our ship. They will not impact at all the environment. And this is a project that is done in collaboration with RSE, with the authority of the Adriatic Sea, Meridional Adriatic Sea, CIRIAF, and Watergy International Group. So there are simple, cheap, that is important. When we talk about a payback of less than 3 years, and of a technology that is proven to work for at least 10 years, it's not. I don't know if there are banks that can give you this kind, or any kind of investment that can give you this kind of revenue while the time. So we hope that this test we are doing, this pilot project we are doing in Italy, can touch the sensibility of the governments, municipality, because we have big areas that we use for the life of every day, like the parking, for example, that can become our center of profit. Thank you.